Hey there, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Ultra Life Today. This is kind of our little fireside chat series where I get to sit down with the CEO of Ultra Botanica, Adam Payne, lead inventor of this incredible technology called LPS. We've got another ingredient to talk about today, Adam.
Drum roll.
But hey,
Drum
man.
roll.
How fun for us to come over here to a new studio and hang out, right?
I'm looking for the fire.
Yeah.
Where's the fire? We're supposed to, fireside chat, Josh.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
You know, next time, I bet
We could
instead
put
of
one
our
right up
logo, they could probably put one up there.
You can overlay it. Anyway, we're in this new studio. It's kind of a new experience for us. But it's
by the way,
still,
historic downtown area, historic
beautiful
building. Love this area of town.
But it's just you and me. So we're having a conversation. We did the last one on curcumin.
No, we did the last one on berberine.
Oh.
Can you say berberine?
Can you
sure
say
you can.
Forgetting.
No,
yeah,
okay.
berberine. That's right. We did the last one on berberine. Now we're doing quercetin. The two of the second polyphenol that we've added into our technology.
So before you go into that, I want to set this up, and we need to set it up because when I met you 10 years ago, you and B.G. Currian and Hal Schofield were playing around with, they'd liquefied curcumin. They came to you. They said, we want to commercialize this. We want to get it into a free-flowing powder. You guys sat around and did crazy shots of curcumin and got a curcumin buzz. Yep. You guys figured out a technology called LPS technology. And the reason I'm bringing this up again is because we have another one of those problem ingredients, Adam. The LPS technology, just to encapsulate it, pun intended.
You're really rolling here.
Is to be able to take these plant bioactive compounds that are polyphenols or flavonols or isoquinolones and get them into a form, a molecular form, where they'll literally move into the bloodstream and hit it at exponential levels and land on the cell receptor sites, right?
Josh, there are so many of these compounds that have the promise of being something that should change our health, should have an impact on us. I mean, how many times there's so many of these kinds of ingredients that I call them faith-based supplementation.
Oh, that's a good one.
You know, where people,
I'll borrow that.
You know, they go to the health food store and they go to I'm talking not your typical good health food store like what you have in natural grocers, where you get into the aisle and there's like too many choices, and you're overwhelmed.
Yeah, and you're gonna have massive amounts of products that have been extremely hot: berberine, curcumin, quercetin, resveratrol, green tea extract.
You remember Abner's Nutrition down in?
Oh, sure.
Where was it? Down in Texas?
Wichita Falls, baby.
Yeah. We went there. This health food store had floor to ceiling racks full of ingredients I had never seen before. One of the best
small health food stores, by the way, I've ever been in.
Yeah, it's amazing.
She does her stuff right.
And so, you know, what happens? I observed these kinds of interactions. You go into the health food store and you go, hey, I'm dealing with dry skin, or these female issues, or I don't deal with female, you know, these issues that you experience. And sometimes, most of the time, they'll point you in the direction of something that should help support health in a variety of different organ systems or immune system or whatnot. A lot of these compounds, quercetin and curcumin, for example, have the promise of being something that should transform our lives. But most people don't experience any benefit.
You know, almost every abstract that I read on PubMed, and that's the government's clinical repository for research articles related, and you'd be amazed. Go to PubMed.gov and look up any natural compound. You will be shocked at how many studies there are on substances like
overwhelming.
Quercetin.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah, 26,000 on curcumin. But you know what's interesting?
I'm curious, quercetin, how many did you see?
You know, I didn't pull the number up, but I will say this. The thing you find over and over again when we're looking up these types of plant bioactives is one thing. They start off the abstract and they end it with, however, the universal problem with these kind of substances is bioavailability, getting them in the bloodstream, getting them into the cell receptor site. So
that's why I call them faith-based stuff because the research, for example, on curcumin was the natural product of the year back in 2016, 2017.
It's probably one of the largest grossing products in the history of the health food industry by far.
We predicted that it was going to be $1 billion category.
Yeah, rivaling
for a while,
aloe vera,
Yeah.
which has been around for 60, 70 years.
But most people, when they take it, they don't feel anything. It takes weeks for people to experience a difference.
As you would say, I'm going to go back in the Wayback Machine, one of our favorite cartoons from back in the day.
Peabody.
When I first went out into Oklahoma
that's
City.
right. What was that called?
Sherman and Mr. Peabody.
That's right.
Yeah.
I love that show.
When I first went out into Oklahoma City, I had a mission. You and I had created these 3-day samples of the original Ultra Cur with the color of your shirt, the lid was.
Yeah, my favorite color.
And so I went out to all these, I went out to clinical nutritionists, compounding pharmacists, integrative MDs, naturopaths, and I said, do you all sell curcumin in your place? And I knew they were all hot to trot on it, right? And they were all like, yes, we do. And I was like, I'd love to ask you a simple question. How much benefit have you seen in your patient population or with your clients as it relates to the use of curcumin? To a man or woman, Adam, the answer was, I see, it's so-so.
Yeah.
And to your point, 30 days, 60 days, taking large amounts, not really feeling it.
But even what gets me, you go to the reviews of some of these turmeric curcumin products. Same thing with quercetin and berberine, for that matter.
Yep.
And berberine's a little bit different. Berberine does somewhat get in the body. It has a better bioavailability than curcumin and quercetin. But it's kind of like, oh, it's a great product. You know, I'm feeling better. But they don't really talk about dramatic results.
Transformative, your word.
Transformative.
That's my favorite word. I stole it from you about 10 years ago.
Quercetin. So let's talk about quercetin. Quercetin. It's spelled Quercetin, right?
Now
a lot of people say quercetin.
I saw it listed as a flavanol.
Right. The flavanol is a...
Is that a polyphenolic class? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Flavanols are classes of polyphenols that that exhibit certain aromatic tendencies. So they have to be part of a plant extract, and it has to be of a natural extract.
By the way, I have to say, Adam, I'm taking you so much more seriously when you're in your white lab coat. It's just a game changer.
I don't know how to take that, Josh.
It's a good thing.
I know. Yeah. I like my little web. I like my white lab coat.
Okay, so it's a quercetin.
And this is not just an affect. We wear white lab coats in our production facility.
You do.
Yeah, okay, it's on.
It's flavanol. It's part of this polyphenolic group of plant bioactive compounds.
Quercetin is also it's produced by a number of different plant species. Unlike curcumin, which is really only made by the turmeric rhizome in the root of the plant.
You know, my very favorite way to get quercetin in my body, other than our own product, is onions. I'm a huge onion guy, man. I cook with them and everything, making spaghetti sauces, and I'm a cook. And so,
interesting.
And onions are phenomenal.
How much quercetin is in an onion?
Well, I'll tell you something really interesting is that when you take the powdered forms of quercetin that are out there and you compare them just to eating a meal with onions and you check blood levels, you can take off the chart amounts of powdered quercetin and maybe find 1% in the blood, but you can get higher amounts by eating
the
onions and different things like that.
So that's
that's
not surprising to me, because essentially in the plant you're getting the LPS kind of effect. LPS stands for our patented technology, liquid protein scaffolding. We solubilize these compounds like quercetin. We get them into a liquid state. And it's in a liquid, it's a free molecule, right? It's not bound to itself. The problem with polyphenols, this whole class, is that once they bind to themselves, they don't like to dissolve.
They invite all their cousins to the party. Don't they form into crystals?
They form crystals, and those crystals are essentially insoluble. I liken it to swallowing quartz crystal. you're not going to get silicone in your blood by swallowing a bunch of quartz
I actually
crystals.
know where that's going to end up, but we'll save that for another episode.
It's
going to be eliminated from the body, isn't it?
Yes.
A great portion of it.
So many great phrases flowing through my mind, none of them appropriate for a podcast.
And another thing about these polyphenolic compounds is that when they aggregate together and they form these crystals, they also have a tendency to create gastric disturbances for people. Yeah.
So that's more so for berberine.
Berberine, okay.
Yeah, berberine, because berberine by itself is highly antimicrobial.
Yeah, it's killing off everything, right? It's like an antibiotic kind of.
Curcumin can be a little bit abrasive to the gut. I don't know much about quercetin that's not absorbed. I do know that quercetin that is not absorbed isn't going to do much at all of anything.
So we're going to be right back on Ultra Life today. I'm Josh Bellew, sitting here with CEO of Ultra Botanica, Adam Payne, and we're going to continue the conversation on quercetin. Hey, do you love what we're doing? Go find podcasts anywhere you like to download them. Find us under Ultra Life Today. We've got a great YouTube channel as well. Learn more about our products at ultratoday.com.
Our mission is to take nature's most beloved botanicals and enhance them with our liquid protein scaffold technology. This helps it reach your cells faster and better. With exponentially enhanced bioavailability, you'll feel better every day. Ultra Botanica, the feel-good curcumin.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Ultra Life Today. This is our second segment talking about quercetin or quercetin, as Dr. Joe Parita corrected us, right?
Yeah, no, he definitely corrected us.
Well, I'm hanging out with Adam Payne, CEO of Ultra Botanica, a lead inventor of this incredible LPS technology that is literally revolutionizing. And when I say that, it's true. We have doctors all over the world, Adam, for many, many years that have basically said, when you guys create a product that's in this plant bioactive category of polyphenols, sign me up, because it's the only one we'll use, because it produces results in a very, very short period of time. Now, when it comes to quercetin, I must admit, I'm a little behind the eight ball. I don't know a ton about quercetin. So I do remember something, though, that kind of got me really going. When COVID first hit, I was going into independent health food stores and going into national chains, and you would literally see a wall of quercetin that would be from floor up to about 5 feet high, and they were end capping it everywhere. Why were they doing that? I remember this whole idea of cytokine storms, this incredible inflammatory response. What were they trying to figure out there?
Well, quercetin's a polyphenol like curcumin that has a lot of domains of activity. These polyphenols tend to bind to a whole variety of stuff. So let's talk about the known domains of quercetin.
Okay.
So quercetin is a very powerful antioxidant, first of all. It's known to be able, when it's inside the cell or outside the cell, it can attach to free radicals and essentially nullify their toxic ability that free radicals have that can damage cell membranes and the machinery inside of a cell.
And for a second, just in case, I know we have a very highbrow audience that really studies their stuff, but free radicals, I remember there being a description of free radicals and how they work, but basically you have an electron that actually unpairs itself from the cell, and it starts like playing pinball, doesn't it? And creating some issues.
There's so many different kind of ways anecdotally to kind of describe what's going on, but the essential mechanism is how we produce energy. I'm going to dig back into the Wayback Machine here, pulling from our Mr. Peabody era here, the Krebs cycle.
Okay.
Right? The Krebs cycle is a whole process that happens in the mitochondria.
Powerhouse of the cell.
That involves glucose coming in, oxygen coming in, and
there's minerals and things involved.
Yeah, there's all sorts of different things.
Potassium, calcium.
52 ATP, I believe is the number, that is produced by one cycle of the Krebs cycle. as opposed to glycolysis or glycosis is what cancer cells use. And they use 1 glucose and create 2 ATP. Very inefficient, very interesting. In the process of the Krebs cycle, imagine like a car engine, right? A car engine takes in gasoline and burns oxygen. It creates exhaust. The exhaust coming out of the mitochondria is free radicals.
Oh, wow.
The free radicals that are produced are essentially the exhaust from the Krebs cycle engine. And so our bodies are designed to sop up that exhaust, those free radicals.
That's the job of an antioxidant.
Yes, glutathione is our antioxidant. And we have glutathione constantly being brought into where the mitochondria are producing the free radicals and sopping it up and taking it and neutralizing it. Some free radicals escape the antioxidant capacity of a cell, especially as our cells become damaged or mitochondria become damaged.
No doubt diet, lack of supplementation, exercise has a whole host of things.
And there are other processes that create free radicals, like when our bodies kill bacteria, that creates a lot of free radicals. Oxidative stress is another kind of description of what this whole process looks like. Oxidative stress being the Krebs cycle. Using oxygen creates these free radicals that causes metabolic stress or cellular stress on the body. The problem with free radicals is that they are damaging. They grab or they donate electrons to things around them, and those donated electrons can create chemical reactions that you don't want to happen. They can damage cell membrane structures. They can get involved in the machinery of what should be a normal, smooth process into something that's not a smooth process. It can damage DNA. It can change a DNA's coding for something that's going on. So quercetin.
So first thing,
quercetin
we
is
learned quercetin's an antioxidant.
Right. And
considered a powerful one, especially if you could get it into the bloodstream.
Yes.
I know that glutathione is like the master. We're not worthy.
Curcumin, guess what, is also a very powerful antioxidant. That's the first kind of capacity that has been studied. I don't think anybody, I'm saying this and I'm probably wrong, has done a kind of a molecular tag. You can tag molecules with different radioactive particles.
Yeah, radioactive
and you can see how
where they go in the
see
body.
Where they go, see what's happening. You can look at their activity. You can then use enzyme measurements to look at the enzyme capacity of these different things. I'm sure somebody's done some research on this, and it's fascinating. So let's put to bed the antioxidant. Interesting.
That's a benefit.
Yep. Quercetin, like curcumin, can also chelate or take out of our body heavy metals that are
lead, cadmium, mercury, arsenic, the ones that really destroy and cripple our health that we get a lot of in our food supply these days.
Heavy metals are called heavy metals because guess what? They're heavy. These are big atoms. And it's a heavy metal ion, and it's an ion. It usually has a negative charge, heavy metals.
Right.
Imagine it, the closest analogy is like a wrecking ball. A heavy metal, free, just roaming around inside of your cell is literally like a wrecking ball just going.
It's like free radicals on steroids that have all agglomerated together.
It'll go through the cell wall. It'll destroy whatever is in its way as it's moving around. And heavy metals damage cells.
And don't they historically have a very difficult time escaping the body? Don't they want to abide in the tissues? A lot of them.
Heavy metals. This is
it's hard to get them out. So you're telling me another benefit.
Especially when they're just wrecking balls, they're just going to continue damaging stuff.
So quercetin.
This is what mercury poisoning, lead, cadmium, arsenic poisoning. These are all heavy metals that the EPA tells us we need to be, cognizant about how much we're taking in.
Right.
Our body has a certain capacity to eliminate heavy metals, but it needs to do so by chelating them. And what I mean by chelation is these compounds, curcumin's a chelator, especially a really good chelator of excess iron, which is really interesting, like for hematochromatosis. Hint, hint, wink, wink.
Right.
Say
right.
no more.
Iron.
Right. An overabundance of iron is actually bad. Arg. It damages the body just like heavy metal exposure. But quercetin can bind to these heavy metals and essentially inactivate them. So imagine a quercetin molecule wraps around the heavy metal ion and inactivates it. And so then the body's able to deal with the heavy metal ion because it's not a wrecking ball anymore.
And that's one of the cool things I have found over the years in studying these plant bioactives, Adam, is when they do chelate something, when they go and basically smother it and bind to it and inactivate it, some of these substances, especially radioactive type substances, can actually damage the kidneys when they're being eliminated. But plant bioactives inactivate them to such a capacity that when you're eliminating them, it does not create other problems, compounding the problem.
So it's using the antioxidant capacity of the quercetin or curcumin, for that matter, and then it's binding to the heavy metal ion. So it attaches to that ion and activates its negative charge. And so then it's essentially not completely inert, but the body's able to deal with it. It's not causing damage. It's not on that big chain and swinging through all the scaffolding of the cell and causing all sorts of damage.
Wow, antioxidant chelation, especially of heavy metals in this day and age, from the water supply, the air we breathe, the foods we get. I mean, I mentioned this the other day, and it bears repeating. A really cool organization named Moms Across America. I've got to get this plug in. Go look them up. Lady named Zen Honeycutt. Their organization went to 40 different fast food restaurants to look for glyphosates and look for heavy metals in the food. You don't want to know.
It's disbelieving on my
It
end.
is, because many of these restaurants...
Don't say it.
Many of these restaurants had 18 to 20 to 50 times the levels of the EPA allowable for substances like cadmium, mercury, lead.
How can they get away with that? I mean, seriously.
And the thing that broke my heart the most...
So hold on a minute. So, I mean, if I'm a food producer, I have to comply with food testing to make sure that the food I'm producing, like our nutritional supplements, is not over the legal limits for heavy metals.
Okay, here I go down the road that they call, I am looking at the camera right now, regulatory capture. It's in every industry. It's in the pharmaceutical industry. It's in the food industry. It's in the oil industry. It's everything related to lobbyists and their ability to continue to do things and have people kind of just look the other way. And it's everywhere. And that's why I love consumer groups like this. I mean, these are fierce moms across America.
So can dads play with them? Are we?
Oh, yeah, they would. I mean, Zen Honeycutt is cool as can be.
Can we have a Dads Across America?
We could, if you and I want to step up.
I'm a dad. Are you a dad?
Started. Oh, yeah, 4.
4 dad? You're a 4 times dad.
I am a 4-time dad.
I'm a 4 times dad. At least all that I know of. I don't,
Let's not go
can't
there.
talk about that.
Okay. Antioxidant, chelating, any other benefits that just come off the top of your head?
So now we're getting into, so those are kind of the most polyphenols, to my understanding, have the ability to have antioxidant capacity, and I believe has some chelation capacity. I could be wrong. I'm not a chemist, contrary to everybody's popular belief.
And these are often brightly colored, so if we find them in the food supply,
they tend to fluoresce.
Have a tendency, right?
They tend to have very specific wavelengths within which they will fluoresce, which is interesting. The polyphenol groups themselves lend it to that fluorescing activity. So now we're getting into some more what I would call ligand.
And so with a minute and a half, let's start into this road of the next benefit that we've got.
Okay, now we're getting into where does quercetin actually interact with a cell in its biology? Not just dealing with heavy metals or antioxidants, but how does quercetin affect cellular biology?
Well, I have a huge question mark above my head. I'm sure everybody can see it right now. I have no idea.
We got to make one. Can we get a question mark
These
over
guys
his head?
They can probably.
I would love to see that.
They can probably superimpose one on the film.
Done.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So anyway, you mentioned ligand, and where are we?
That's a fancy word.
Okay, where are we going with that, and what is a ligand?
So ligand is technically a cell receptor. It's so if you look, cells don't communicate by words, can communicate a little bit by when they're touching other cells by electrical signals and some gradients around them. Primarily, the way that a cell communicates to its outside environment by producing little soluble messenger molecules. We call them cytokines, chemokines, leukotrienes, nice. And they get made and then they get expressed through the cell. So the cells produce these little soluble hormones. Then different cells in the body have the ability to receive those signals and then bring them into the cell as a communication.
Hold that thought. We've been having a fascinating conversation on quercetin with Adam Payne, CEO, lead inventor, Ultra Botanica. I am Josh Bell. You love what we're doing. Find us wherever you find podcasts. We're going to be going into another segment for our radio listeners. It's going to be next week's show. So we'll be right back with Ultra Life Today.